Hey everyone, welcome back, and thank you for joining us today. We've got a new story to share, so let's dive right in. Ethan and Mia had been together for years, and to the outside world, they seemed like a couple who had it all figured out. They were building a life, supporting each other, and moving forward. But behind closed doors, things were far from perfect. Their relationship had grown strained, and the constant arguments had started to take a toll on both of them. Some of the arguments were over little things. Others were about bigger issues. But they all seemed to point to one painful reality. They were drifting apart. Ethan, despite everything, loved Mia more than anything. He wasn't perfect, but he tried his best to provide for their future. For months, they'd been saving up for a house, a dream that Ethan held on to with everything he had. He imagined a life where they could settle down, a place they could truly call their own. But Mia didn't see it the same way. One evening, things started just like any other. Another argument, seemingly small at first. Ethan had just come home from a long day at work, drained and hoping for a peaceful evening. But there was tension in the air. Mia had asked for something, and when Ethan reminded her they couldn't afford it just yet, her frustration bubbled over. The argument quickly spiraled into something deeper, much more painful. Her voice was sharp, accusing, making Ethan feel like he was always the one at fault. Even though he was giving everything he could, it never seemed to be enough. "Why do I always have to explain this to you?" Mia snapped, rolling her eyes in frustration. Ethan tried to keep calm. "Mia, I'm trying my best here. I really am. But it feels like nothing I do ever satisfies you." Mia laughed bitterly. "Trying? Is that what you call this? You're just doing the bare minimum and expecting me to be thankful for it." Her words hit harder than she realized. Ethan's patience was wearing thin, but instead of saying everything he wanted to, he just swallowed it down. "Bare minimum?" he repeated softly, the frustration simmering beneath the surface. He thought of all the sacrifices, the late hours at work, the dreams of their future. But what good would it do to say any of that? It wouldn't change anything. Mia's dismissive attitude was the hardest part. She didn't care. Feeling suffocated, Ethan grabbed his keys and made his way to the door, needing to escape, if only for a moment. "I can't do this right now," he muttered, walking out the door without another word. What Ethan didn't know was that this night would change everything. He had barely walked a few blocks when he realized his mistake. He had forgotten his wallet and phone on the kitchen counter. Annoyed, but knowing he couldn't go far without it, he turned around and made his way back home. When he walked back inside, he tried to be quiet, not wanting to start another fight. But as soon as he stepped in, he overheard Mia talking on the phone. At first, he wasn't really paying attention, just focused on grabbing his wallet and leaving again. But then, something she said froze him in his tracks. "I settled for less." A chill ran down his spine, his heart racing as he stood frozen, his fingers hovering over his wallet. "I should have been with Jack, but I needed stability." Everything went still. Mia continued, "Ethan's a good guy, but he was never the one I truly wanted." In that moment, it all clicked for Ethan. The lack of affection, the coldness, the arguments. The distance between them wasn't just about money. It was about love, or the lack of it. She had never truly been in love with him the way he had loved her. Ethan picked up his wallet, his hand shaking, and walked out of the house. The cool night air hit his face, but it did nothing to dull the sting of the words he had just heard. He didn't know where he was going at first, but his feet took him down familiar streets. Eventually, he found himself at a bar, a place he didn't usually go, but it didn't matter. He just needed somewhere to sit, to process, to breathe. He ordered a drink and took a sip, but it tasted nothing like the relief he had hoped for. The bitterness of the beer was nothing compared to the ache inside. Mia had never truly wanted him. All the years he had spent trying to build a future with her, believing that their love was worth every sacrifice, it had all been for nothing. She had settled, and in doing so, she had trapped him in a marriage that was based on convenience, not love. Ethan considered confronting her, but what would be the point? What could he possibly say? That he knew the truth? That he had heard every word? Mia might apologize, maybe even cry, but Ethan knew it wouldn't change the fact that her heart had never truly belonged to him. As he stared at the amber liquid in his glass, a quiet yet drastic decision formed in his his mind. He would leave, not just for the night, not just to cool off, but for good. He would disappear, erase every trace of himself from her life, and give her exactly what she wanted: the freedom to be with someone who was her true choice. There was no reason to stay, no reason to fight for something that had never been real. Ethan ordered another beer, letting the decision settle deep within him. This was the last night he would spend as Mia's partner. By morning, he would be gone. That night, while Mia slept, Ethan sat in the dim glow of his laptop screen. If she wanted to be with someone else, he wouldn't stand in her way, but he also wouldn't leave empty-handed. He logged into their joint savings account. It wasn't difficult. He had always been the one managing their finances. The numbers stared back at him. They had been saving for a house. Ethan took what was his, 80% of the funds, the portion he had single-handedly contributed. But instead of withdrawing cash, he moved the money strategically, purchasing resellable assets online, electronics, rare collectibles, and valuable items that could easily be liquidated later. He left nothing to chance. Once the transactions were complete, he cleared any trace of them from his emails, ensuring Mia wouldn't be able to track his next moves. Then he turned his attention to what came next. With quiet efficiency, Ethan packed only the essentials: important documents, enough clothes to last for a while, anything that could help him rebuild elsewhere. He had no intention of taking anything sentimental. There was nothing here worth holding on to anymore. Before leaving, he sat at the desk, staring at the blank sheet of paper in front of him. He didn't need many words. The truth had already been spoken, just not to his face. He picked up a pen and wrote with a steady hand, "I overheard everything. I won't stand in the way of your happiness. Go settle with your ideal partner. No accusations, no confrontation, just a final goodbye." By morning, Ethan was gone. Mia woke up expecting another ordinary morning. Her eyes landed on the note when she got out of bed. It sat on the table, waiting for her. The moment she read the words, her stomach dropped. He knew. Panic surged through her veins when she realized he had left. Not for a few hours, not to cool off, but for good. And worst of all, she had pushed him to this without even realizing it. Her hands shook as she grabbed her phone, dialing his number, waiting, hoping, but the line was disconnected. She tried again and again. Nothing. Her fingers moved quickly, opening her email. She typed a message, keeping it short, but when she hit send, the response was immediate, undelivered. Her breathing became uneven as she checked social media, scrolling through her contacts and searching for his profile. Completely erased. It was as if he had never been there at all. Desperation creeping in, Mia called his workplace, thinking maybe, just maybe, he had gone there. But they never picked up. Hours of trying later, the receptionist finally answered, and Mia forced her voice to stay steady as she asked about Ethan. The response came back casual. "Oh, Ethan, he resigned this morning. Sent an email before office hours. Effective immediately." Mia's grip tightened on the phone. He had planned this. This wasn't some impulsive reaction to their argument. He had been deliberate, thoughtful. He had taken the time to erase every trace of himself from her world. He had vanished, leaving her with nothing but a note and the consequences of her own words. She had spent so long believing Ethan would always be there. But now, standing alone in an empty house, staring at the last thing he had left for her, she realized she had finally pushed him too far, and there was nothing she could do to take it back. With Ethan gone, Mia no longer had to hide. There was no need for secrecy, no need to pretend. She turned fully to Declan, the man she had always considered her true choice. The affair, which had once existed in whispers and stolen moments, was now out in the open. No partner was standing in the way, no guilt weighing on her conscience. At first, it felt like everything had fallen into place. Declan said all the right things, made her feel desired, and reassured her that she had made the right decision. With him, there was passion, excitement, and a sense of freedom that she believed Ethan could never offer. This was the life she had wanted, the life she felt she deserved. A few months after Ethan vanished, Mia took the final step to erase him completely from her life. She filed for divorce, fully convinced that he would never return, since he was nowhere to be found. The court issued a default judgment in her favor. Just like that, Mia was legally free, able to move forward without looking back. For a while, everything seemed perfect, but as time passed, cracks began to show. Declan was charming, but he was distant. He was present in the way that mattered least, in words, in surface-level affection. But when it came to real commitment, he was absent. He avoided serious conversations about the future, always changing the subject whenever she brought it up. Then the truth began to unfold. Mia discovered that Declan was not as devoted to her as she had assumed. He still entertained other women and kept up relationships outside of theirs. What she had thought was a deep, passionate love turned out to be nothing more than a convenient arrangement for him. She had left a man who had given her his all for someone who never intended to offer her the same. The comparisons began. The things she once resented about Ethan now resurfaced in a different light. Ethan, despite their many arguments, had always been reliable. He had been present, not just physically, but emotionally. Even when they fought, he had stayed, fought for their relationship, and believed in their future. He had sacrificed his comfort, his dreams, and even his finances to build something solid with her. Declan, on the other hand, had given her nothing but temporary excitement. There were no real sacrifices, no stability, no certainty in what they were building, because, in truth, they had been building nothing at all. And then the realization hit her. She had never truly settled for less. She had thrown away something real for an illusion. What she had with Ethan was not perfect, but it was genuine. What she had with Declan was everything she thought she wanted, but it was never meant to last. Years passed. Mia was still single. The man she once believed was her true love, her ideal partner, never became what she expected. Declan, the man she thought she should have chosen from the start, avoided any real conversation about marriage. Whenever she brought it up, he brushed it off, changed the subject, or outright dismissed it. At first, she told herself it was just timing, that he wasn't ready yet. Eventually, he would commit to her the way she had left everything behind for him. But as the years dragged on, it became harder to ignore the truth staring her in the face. Declan was never serious about her. The reality hit like a slow, painful drip. She had left her marriage thinking she was choosing real love, but she had only become one of his many side pieces. Whenever they argued about it, Declan never held back from reminding her of one thing. "I never asked you to leave your husband." That sentence cut her every time. It left her humiliated, angry, but most of all, regretful, because he was right. He never promised her forever. He never asked her to walk away from Ethan. That had been her choice, a choice she could never take back. And now, every now and then, she found herself thinking about Ethan. Where was he now? Did he move on? Did he find someone new? Did he build the life they once planned, but with another woman? These thoughts came in waves, creeping up on her when she least expected them. The more she ignored them, the stronger they became. She had a man who loved her, a man who wanted to build a life with her, and she threw it all away for someone who never saw her as more than an option. And that's the story. So what can we learn from this? Sometimes we don't realize the value of what we have until it's gone. It's easy to overlook the efforts of someone who truly cares, only to regret it when they are no longer there. People often chase what they think they want, believing that something or someone better is waiting for them. But in the end, they come to realize that they had what they needed all along. Words have power. The things we say about our partners, especially in moments when we think they aren't listening can either strengthen or completely break a relationship. Love isn't just about emotions or excitement. It's about trust, respect, and genuine companionship. If those things are missing, no amount of passion can make up for it. If you don't appreciate someone's presence, you may have to deal with their absence. Ethan walked away, not out of anger, but because he understood that staying in a place where he wasn't truly wanted would only cause more harm. Some people believe in fighting for love no matter what. Others know when it's time to let go. So, what do you think? Do you believe Ethan made the right decision by leaving? Or should he have stayed and fought for his marriage? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, take care and stay wise.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and turn on notifications so you never miss more shocking real-life stories like this. See you in the next one.